This is the plaintiff, Susan J. Gordon. She says she wrote a book called Wedding Days, When and How Great Marriages Began. And every now and then she's Googled herself to see what comes up. She was shocked when the defendant's website popped up, and she discovered 7 of her stories had been quoted. These are creative pieces of writing. No one got permission from her to use them, and after some further research, she found out they ripped her off 29 times. Nothing in life is free. She feels as though she's been violated and is suing for $5,000 for copyright infringement. This is the defendant, Todd Engel. He says his wife is an interfaith minister, and she came across the plaintiff's book and loved it. They cited the plaintiff's name every time they used an excerpt from her, and were of the understanding that's all they had to do. Once the plaintiff complained, they immediately removed her words from their website, even though they were advised they were completely within their rights to use her stuff, and they refused to be bullied into paying for something they legally don't have to. He's accused of being a copycat.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay. Susan J. Gordon?
Yes.
You are suing Mary Rose Engel and Todd Engel. Mr. Engel, you'll be representing both yourself and, is that your wife?
It is.
Okay. And you have power of attorney to do so. You are suing them for copyright infringement to the tune of $5,000, which is statutory max in New York. You say you're damaged actually more than that because they used 7 of the stories that you have previously published in a book, and they used those 7 stories 29 times on their website. Okay, let's talk. You wrote a book called?
I wrote a book called Wedding Days, When and How Great Marriages Began.
And tell us what the book's about.
It's a collection of hundreds of stories about the courtships and marriages of famous couples throughout history. Famous couples such as John and Jacqueline Kennedy, Napoleon and Josephine, Lucy and Desi, Martin Luther, and Coretta Scott King. It took me over 3 years to write this book.
When did you write the book? When did you?
The book was published in 1998.
1998, and it took you 3 years up to that point.
It took me a full 3 years of research and writing to collect these stories.
How many stories are in here?
One for every day of the year.
So
and I threw in Adam and Eve
stories.
on February 29th because I just had fun writing what I imagined their wedding day to be like.
Now, I've read the excerpts of the book that are on your website, and this is so right up my alley, I can't tell you. These short stories. I hate to say bathroom reading, but you don't have to commit a long time. But I know it sounds awful, but you can have it on a cocktail table and somebody can look at it for just a little bit. You don't have to commit a couple of hours. And each one is so enticing because I am so gossipy and I love hearing these little details. And you've got a picture of the couples. I mean, this is really very enjoyable. Now, you did publish it a long time ago. I imagine that as most books, the sales start to, unless you're the Bible, the sales start to eventually wither, right?
That's normal for a book.
It's very normal, especially after we're talking about 10, 15, whatever it is years. Now, so right now, if I wanted to buy the book, what's the average price of the book on the line?
The book varies online. It is sold by used book dealers at this point. Yeah. You could pay $5 and you could pay $170-something. So don't ask me why. You have signed copies.
Or you could pay 90 cents or $1.
You might be able to. However.
Okay, no, I know because I went online.
Okay.
All right. But, but so now you published this book about 15 years ago or so, and then you periodically go online checking to see if someone's using the book?
No, I go online as a published author. And you just Google
yourself?
Stories popped up in many different places. Their website had 29 times, so sometimes 25, 27, 31.
When you say 29 times, you're not saying because you kept pressing the same page. You're saying
Absolutely
in 29
not.
sites. All right.
Because they
so
kept
now, when you find out that they've used your work, by the way, are they citing to you? Are they quoting you as the author? Or are they just using your work?
Yes. They without permission, which is not following copyright law.
Okay. So when you find out that they that they are citing your work, they are giving you credit, but they never asked your permission, what is it you do?
I was stunned. I
And
was
then you
shocked.
call them? You reach out to them?
I spoke to my husband, who was a lawyer, although he's not a.
Is this your husband now?
Was
this your husband then?
Lawyer. This was my husband then.
And what kind of a lawyer is he?
Okay, he real estate.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with it, but he's smart. And he also, by the way, happened to help me a great deal with the research because he loved it too. So we contacted them several weeks later by, I would say, early June or late May, I think in June, and asked that they please remove the stories forthwith.
And did they?
And discuss, not entirely, some lingered into June.
Okay.
I don't know why. This all started around May 20th, 22nd.
When were you contacted by her to cease and desist?
I think it was around June.
And what did you do?
We were kind of shocked in the beginning. We were pretty naive about copyright laws, to be honest, Your Honor.
Okay.
I immediately called Mr. Gordon. I apologized, and I told him we would take it down right away.
Did you?
We did, and they are correct. We mistakenly missed one of them.
Okay.
So they asked us that we'd save the files. We did on the server that was there, and that was about what we did. And
Okay.
that was all we could do, was just pull it all down.
What is this site? Tell me what this is.
My wife started a blog in the beginning of the year 2011. The intent of the blog was to educate people on different wedding issues, gay marriages. Also she's an interfaith minister, so a lot of interfaith topics and things like that. It was more for her to just kind of inform the public, and just get used to also doing a blog. We were kind of new to this technology, and she wanted to get new to how it works, how you drive traffic to a blog and things like that.
What kind of traffic did your blog have?
It really doesn't have much traffic at all.
So say you. Show me some proof of what kind of traffic your blog has.
Well, I have the chart for those seven postings, a chart of all the people that did click-throughs through that.
Okay. So during the whole time, how long did you have her articles up, by the way?
I believe it was at maximum 60 days.
Okay. For those 60 days or
Right.
more or
From
less.
April 1st to June 24th, we have.
Okay. And you noticed it in May, right? You noticed it in May?
I noticed it in May.
Okay, so for those amount of days that it was up, those 60 days that it was up, that's what you're going to show me? How many people clicked it? Okay, that's what I want.
April 1st to June 24th is like 3 months,
Okay.
not 60 days.
All right, so according to you in these, and she's right, it's almost 3 months span of time, how many people hit the articles? And the answer to that is?
154.
154 times. Okay. Why were you thinking this was going to be okay, like just in general, that you could take somebody's work?
At the time, she thought that...
Did you know she was doing this?
No.
What's your profession?
I'm a project manager.
Okay. Why isn't she here?
She's out of the country, Your Honor. She's working for a nonprofit.
Okay. So did you know she was doing this? What was your
No, I
answer?
didn't.
You had no idea. You found out when you
I found out when I got the letter.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about this. There is a concept which I'm sure you're both extremely familiar with in the law called the fair use doctrine. And let's first state the rule, then let's state what fair use is. The rule is you can't use other people's stuff without paying them. That's the rule. That's why they copyright their work, because you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to use somebody else's intellectual property. Okay, the exception is if you've used it in a way that the law should look at as fair use. Okay. There are 4 factors that the courts look at, and the 4 factors come straight out of federal law in order to determine if what the purported infringer did was a copyright violation or fair use. Let's go over 1, the purpose of the work. What that means is, the purpose of the use, the purpose of the use. What that means is, was it used in a non-commercial or a commercial setting? In your recitation of the facts, you said on their commercial setting. You said on their website. What is that website? Does she charge for membership?
No.
Does she advertise on it?
No.
Does anybody else advertise on it?
No.
What is the purpose of her doing it?
It's to inform the public about weddings. She's an wedding officiant. So
Okay, so she performs weddings.
Correct.
Okay, does she list her name and her phone number so that you can reach her for her to perform your wedding?
let me just make sure.
Do you have
I do
that?
not see that anywhere.
Do you have any proof of that?
It's on the bottom. Of course, blogs are a thing that are updated
Hold on.
regularly.
Yeah, it's right there. The website, and is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's you. You're right on there. Your mug is right on there. How do you not know what's on the blog?
Well, no, I know what's on the blog.
Okay. Okay. So that one does not militate towards fair use. Okay. What's the next one? The nature of the copyrighted work. All right. So is this book, Wedding Days, is it fiction or nonfiction? Well, I would hope that it's nonfiction, other than the few times that you say that it's fiction.
The stories are true.
Right. Okay. Now, the nature of work as nonfiction militates more towards less protection for you, because it's not each word is not your art. The stories aren't yours. You don't own them. The stories belong to each of those individual people. You may have done a lot of research, asked a lot of permission, all the other things that you're going to tell me now, but they're other people's love stories. They're not love stories that you made up in your head that then he used. That militates towards fair use, okay? The second part of that is it published or unpublished? This is a published work. That factor, I think, militates towards the defendant and the idea of fair use. The amount of the work used vis-a-vis your work, Wedding Days. You have 365 stories in here. There were 7 stories that were used. That's a small percentage of the book used. I think that factor militates towards finding this to be fair use. And the effect, this is to me the most important one, and this one I want to hear from you. And frankly, I don't normally allow lawyers to speak, but if you want to speak up, I want to give you a chance to do that. So yeah. The effect of use on the potential market or value of the work. And what that means is, does his using it cut into your income? This is a book that was published 15 years ago. That, as most books of this type, in the 15 years, the interest is going to, peter. That's how this works. In fact, I think there's enough love stories out there. You should write another whole 365. Not just change 7. Change a whole 365.
I changed more than 7.
Yeah, come find me. You wouldn't believe the love story.
I'd love to. What's your wedding day?
I'm reaching my 20th anniversary in a few weeks.
What's your wedding day?
I'll be working here on my 20th anniversary. That's how romantic I am. But my husband's actually going to take off and come here and be with me.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, did this chick really suffer any damages?
No, not at all. No.
Okay, and I got no like 5 times. 7 stories out of like 360.
I think my argument is that the same person could have watched that or gone to that site 150 times. She got like 150 views.
Well, only 154 people looked.
So yeah, well, but we don't know.
Are there unique views? There are unique views? Is it any damage?
54 people.
What's the damage? How much?
I think maybe $10.
$10?
Not even.
Okay, going inside the courtroom.
How has this cut into your profit margin?
Well, we want to, Susan wants to control the publicity on doing a second volume, an updated volume. This hinders it. She needs to control all access to these stories. That's why she would not have probably granted a license or permission to run these stories, because it wouldn't have done her any good economically.
I don't think that's true. I think if they had contacted her and said, we'll offer you a couple $1,000 and we want to give you some advertising, and said, why would you ever say no to that? It could only help you. You don't like that they did it because they did it behind your back. They stole it from you. I understand the frustration that you feel, but you understand that I'm not an idiot. I can't just turn around and say, bad boy, pay her money. Like, I've got to go through the analysis of the 4 factors. The law is we go into all these factors and try to figure out how and why you used it. I'm totally with you that this little, we're just trying to teach people is complete nonsense. They used it for profit. It wasn't, it's not like you, I know it's very important to you and I'm not trying to, but they got 154 hits. She's like, it's kind of like a local thing, really, because who's going to fly somebody into it? But whatever it is, it is. And they definitely used it. To suggest they didn't use it for profit is disingenuous. They used it for profit. Not very efficiently, not very well, they didn't make much. I don't know that we can, see, I'd like her here so I can ask her how much more business she got as a result of it. We know that they got 154 hits. That's what they got. How much business they got from people reading it, I don't know. But, since the law is not, you used it, you pay her. Since the law is, how did you use it? Why did you use it? How much of it did you use? And what is it and what is your use? In the totality, analyzing this, I am going to find that this was fair use of the thing.
Right.
And now let me explain something to you. Don't put them back up.
Oh, no.
I can't imagine you would.
No.
Because they're not playing.
Your Honor, one of the stories that they expropriated and put on their website was about the movie stars Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart.
Why are you going over this?
What really bothered me was because I contacted her publisher, Alfred Knopf, and I asked for permission to put her words on.
With all due respect, we're not covering any new ground here. I understand that you did that.
But they didn't.
I understand that they didn't, and we are done, and I have ruled, and we are done. I am ruling in favor of the defendant in this case. I find it to be fair use. That's my verdict.
Okay, both sides.
This is the plaintiff after losing this case. Come on in here. The fair use doctrine comes into play. You can step out also next to her. And what's your reaction now coming out?
Look, I had hoped that this would send a message to people who lift authors' work and post them online without permission. There were two issues here.
Well, do you think you got your point across?
No, I don't, because fair use is when you take a sentence or two, not between 2,000 and 3,000 words, which was what it was extracted from my book.
Well,
That's a healthy amount.
You got a lot of exposure by bringing it into this courtroom.
I'm sorry. I'm very disappointed.
All right. All right, right down this way. Good luck with the book. Come on in here. You made your mistakes here, and what have you learned?
Well, I've learned that copyright is very important. You have to respect these laws, and you have to educate yourself when you are posting things on the internet.
You know, you were very close to, the decision was tough, and you were very close to getting slammed.
I feel bad because, we didn't mean to hurt Mrs. Gordon, and she feels very hurt by this whole thing, and it bothers us that she feels that way.
Harvey?
Okay, so the judge talked about this whole thing about fair use. It is very complicated, I'm telling you. And if you end up using somebody else's stuff and you're doing it commercially, you better check with a lawyer first. This is a very complicated technical area of the law, and you can get in trouble if you don't know what you're doing. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.